my name's Emmaline. I am an ACE Studio artist this year in 2024 and I come from a photography background, but these days I'm making more video and installation and sculpture as well. I've been an artist, I guess professionally for about 10 years now, but I've always been interested in pursuing visual arts. I was heavily into drawing in my teenage years and it sort of evolved into being more photography focused when I was at art school, and I started to pursue it as a profession when I left art school and I joined a local group of artists called the Bait Fridge, and it sort of became known to me for the first time that it was possible to be paid to make a mess and to make art. And yeah, that's when it started to feel like a real possibility for me. My work's influenced by the people around me, the people that I look up to. I'm often influenced by my family. I can also be influenced by people that I disagree with. And more recently, I'm influenced by young people and my experience doing youth workshops. But I'm driven to make work by the amazing community that supports me. Some themes that my work has explored in the last few years has been labour, in particularly how work can shape family and personal life and shape the body. And that's manifested in a video work that I made a few years ago with my grandmother. And more recently, it's been leading me to an exploration into what it's like to be a young person living adjacent to South Australia's largest mine. I think in terms of the mediums that I use to explore themes of work and labour, I'm really interested in a really over-engineered aesthetic, like anything that looks like it's taken way too long to make for maybe a pretty underwhelming product. I think that I get a sense of kind of tragedy and devotion and humour from that aesthetic. And so that materially, that often manifests for me as using lots of one material. Like, you know, in the sculpture that I've made for the ACE Studio show, that's manifested as 85 rat cages all connected together. But in the past, it's been thousands of sugar cubes or ice cream cones. I often work with materials that is manageable to afford to get a lot of. So that often leads me to secondhand materials like rat cages I sourced off Marketplace, but it also often leads me to food. I admire so many artists' work. My favourite artist in the world is Ida Azin. I'm also heavily influenced by the people that mentor me. Recently, that's been Lara Toms, one of the directors of Aphids Collective over in Melbourne. I'm influenced by Hoda Afshar, Farah Al-Qasimi, Erica Scott, Tacita Dean, Petros Efstadiadis, so many artists, and often they are not, they can come from a photography background, which is similar to me, but I'm influenced by all sorts of artists. People who are really driven and prolific influence me heavily. Having access to the ACE Studio has really affected my practice because I've had this large space and I've been encouraged to take up that space, which led to me making a really large sculpture for the first time. And that was also assisted by the encouragement from the ACE staff and the visiting curators to experiment with my practice and maybe push it into some new spaces. During my time at the ACE Studio this year, I have worked on a large sculptural piece that consists of 85 pet cages, and they're interconnected by a mass of tunnels and decorated with a variety of secondhand mouse toys and food dishes and trays. And throughout those cages is a LED light system that is custom programmed to mimic the feeling of a construction site. This work is actually an offshoot of another project that I've been working on since the start of 2023. That's a short film about young people growing up in Roxby Downs, a town adjacent to South Australia's largest mine, Olympic Dam. It evolved from my discussions with young people in Roxby and kind of grew into something much more fantastical and surreal than I had planned. But the sculpture is meant to be reminiscent of the skyline of the Olympic Dam mine, and is meant to have a feeling of industry and productivity, but also playfulness and loneliness and confinement and fun, and sort of be in an in-between space. I hope that when people see the sculpture that I've made, that's called Magic Cave, that they get a sense of a kind of tenuous balance between doom and play, and maybe connectedness and loneliness at the same time.